This is a video for Writer's Choice 8.2, Sentences and Sentence Fragments. The assignment that comes just before this one would be Lesson 3. If you have not completed Lesson 3 grammar, that assignment, please do that before you attempt Writer's Choice 8.2. Otherwise, you might find some confusion. So 8.2, if you have a green book, will be on page 361 and page 362. I have page 361 here. 362 is where the questions come from. So there's no point in uploading those. But you can read through. It's talking about subjects and predicates. Again, we talked about those in Lesson 3. The subject part of a sentence names whom or what the sentence is about. So Emily Dickinson wrote poetry. Who was that sentence about? Emily Dickinson. The predicate part tells what the subject does or what the subject has, or what they is or what they're like. So Emily Dickinson wrote poetry. This is who the sentence is about. Her. What did she do? She wrote poetry. So there's usually a split between that subject and the predicate. Now, if you have a sentence fragment, you're missing either the subject or either the predicate or both. So if it just said Emily Dickinson, that would be a fragment. If it just said wrote poetry, that would be a fragment. If it said to the masses, that would be a fragment because we don't have a subject or a predicate there. Okay, so with 8.2, we're going to identify different parts of sentences and fragments and then learn how to fix those up. So there are different sections in this assignment. We're going to go through a couple examples throughout that before you attempt. So exercise 3 is split into multiple parts. So part 1, questions 1 through 5, you're just going to tell me if the information given is a sentence or a sentence fragment. Does it have a subject and a predicate, or is it missing one or the other? So let's do number 1 here. Tell whether the following is a sentence or sentence fragment. Emily Dickinson lived in Amherst, Massachusetts. Do we know who or what that sentence is about? Yes, Emily Dickinson. So we have a subject. Do we know what she did? Yes, she lived in Amherst, Massachusetts. We have a predicate. So that would be a complete sentence. So that is exercise 3, part 1. For exercise 3, part 2, questions 6 through 10, you're going to identify the subject of the sentence if it's given. If it's a fragment, it will not have a subject. So you're telling me here, number 6, what is the subject here? Dickinson's sister collected her poems. So we're trying to figure out who or what is that sentence about. Well, it's about Dickinson's sister. So that is our subject. And then let's do number 7. What's the subject here? This famous poet. Well, we don't know what they did, but the sentence is about that poet. So this famous poet would be your subject. Okay, for exercise 3, part 3, questions 11 to 15, you are identifying the predicate of the sentence given. And that's, again, what the subject is doing or what they have, what they are, what they're like. So if it's a fragment, it might not have a predicate. So 11 through 15, what's the predicates? Dickinson's poetry comments on all matters of life. Or who or what is the sentence about? It's about her poetry. What did the poetry do? It commented on all matters of life. So that would be our predicate. Let's look at 14. What's the predicate here? So much fine work. Who or what is the sentence about? We don't know. What did they do? We don't know. But there's something about fine work. So we're missing a subject, we're missing a predicate. Exercise 3, part 4, for questions 16 through 20, you're going to mark all of the check boxes that are true for each statement that's given. If it's a sentence, you're only going to check one box, saying it's a sentence. If it's a fragment, you'll check 2 to 4 boxes. You'll mark that it's a fragment, and then you'll say if it's missing a subject, or if it's missing a predicate, or if it's missing both of those. Okay? So let's look at 16. With clear, precise observation. Do we know who or what the sentence is about? No. We clearly don't have a subject. Do we know what they did? No. So that is definitely a fragment. It's missing a subject, it's missing a predicate, so that makes it a fragment. Let's look at another one here. Let's look at 19. Most of her poems include original insights. Do we know who or what that sentence is about? Yes, most of her poems. What did most of her poems do? They included original insights. So we have a subject, most of her poems. We have a predicate, include original insights. That would be a sentence. And that is how you finish 8.2.